What's up, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of Boleros. Sam here with the Sultan of Sando, Mr. Gab Lim, and Mr. Maui Up. What's up, guys?
Si Maui ang nag-isip ng topic to fill in the the lack of news, the lack of games.
Bilang 2026 na rin.
Pwede.
Quarter century.
Medyo slow news day, no? Yeah, so I'm sure nakita nyo na sa title natin, we're going to do a special segment that we've been wanting to do for a long time, since Maui mentioned it. We're going to do the top 25 UAAP players since the 2000s. So hanggang 2000s lang tayo, which I think is season 63, if I'm not mistaken. Gab, can you explain how we... Kasi yun lang yung naalala natin.
Yun yung naalala natin. And sakto, we're calling natin. This 25 for 25. Yung sabi nga ni Maui. 25 players for 25 UAAP seasons since the start of the millennium. Okay, we're not counting those before 2000, before season 63 kasi...
Hindi namin napanood.
Well, to be fair, Maui, napanood ko naman. Yung 99, I think 98. Pero hindi ko na maalala. I was a little kid. I can't remember those games. So, yeah, we're not gonna cover those years. Kasi nga, hindi natin yung maalala yun. But yeah, we're calling this 25 for 25. The top 25 players of the UAAP since season 63. So,
Gab, baka you can explain how we ranked them?
Yeah. So I came up with this randomly. So we did not do individual rankings, or one of us did just one ranking, and then that's what we're going to set. We actually scored players based on 3 categories. 1, team performance. Pretty self-explanatory. How many championships the team won? How many Final Fours? Season records, all that. Individual performance, awards, stats, big games, big performances, clutch plays. And then the third category is historical impact, or how do we remember this guy? How do we remember a guy like, let's say, Mike Cortez after 24 years after he played in the UAAP? How do we remember him? So obviously, let's just bring a caveat here. This is biased by all 3 of us. It's very subjective. All right. There's no objective way we could do this over all 3 of us. So we each scored on based on those 3 categories. Based on those 3 categories, we scored each player 1 to 10. So they're gonna have a score out of 30 each player, and then we simply just totaled the scores from all 3 of us, and the rankings came out as it is. If they did not appear in any of our rankings, so we named 30 players each. If they did not come out in any of our rankings, I gave them a score of 0 for that particular person who named it. So. Yeah. So Maui and Sam don't know who made the top 25. I know because I collated the scores, but Maui and Sam don't know. So I'm gonna be presenting the 25 players who made it to our top 25 list. We're only gonna do 16 to 25 here. Number 16 to 25. We'll do the next 10 in a different episode, and then we're gonna do the top 5 in our final episode. We're gonna milk this a little bit because, we need some things to talk about. And I think that this was a pretty fun exercise. Wouldn't you agree, Maui, Sam?
Nostalgic.
Pretty fun and pretty hard. Pretty hard.
Yeah. Masaya pero sobrang hirap, Gab. Like, I had to do a ton of revisions. And, I'm looking at my scores now. I'm still seeing some mistakes that I wish I could have fixed. But let's see where this goes. This is
I saw
interesting.
some mistakes too, Sam, when I got your list, and I'm like, what the hell is Sam? What? How does this guy
Okay,
make it over the other guy? I'm like, what the hell?
just to be clear, ako yung nag-cram nito. Gab was following up like an hour ago kasi I haven't finished my list yet. Two things. First of all, I've been busy with the Instagram content. So shout out to everyone who's been liking yung mga Instagram content that we've been posting.
Follow
If you
us.
haven't yet, please do follow. Follow the Instagram posts. Our Instagram account at Boleros PH. We're trying to post more there. But yeah, the second thing was this was crammed, so I'm interested to see if Gab and Maui can pull some of the rankings. I'm excited to get started, Gab.
Yeah. So let's start. So forgive the slide. Forgive the slide. I had to recycle this from my top 5 slides. So let's go. At number 25, we have
Wow.
Mark Cardona. Si Maui was shocked. Mark Cardona is the 25th greatest players of the last 25 seasons. Uh, Kind of shocked me. I went back and forth with Mac Cardona. I don't think him. I'm trying to recall it. Just a moment. I don't think he made one of our one person's list. Yeah, he didn't make your list, Sam. I'm
Kaya
kind
nag-drag
of
down.
curious. Oh, yung kaya siya bumaba ng rankings natin because you didn't have him in your list of 30 players. So, kindly explain. Why didn't you have Mac Cardona? Maui and I had him and scored him pretty decently.
Okay. I think ito si Macmac. I think he was there. He was originally there. I removed him last minute because if you look at yung accolades niya, I think wait, let me check my notes. Won Finals MVP in 2004. He made the mythical team in 2004. Was also the UAAP leading scorer. That's crazy. Di ko na maalala yun. In 2004. The thing is, if you remember the 2004 season, I think that was the season that they were disqualified. Um,
I think
and
2005, Sammy, right before 2006. 2005, they won a title in 2005.
2005. But
Yeah.
the season where they lost to they
FEU
won
in the
against
final.
FEU.
Yeah.
So yeah, tama. Basically like a ton of his like accolades he got in that year when they won against FEU. Tapos I said I can't give that to him. The championship doesn't count, so the accolades don't count. So he is in my number 26, but I just had to give it to someone else. That's the only reason why I had to remove him.
Maui, you had it was a decent score. How do you remember Mac? And you were shocked that he was this low. You're on mute, Maui.
Sorry. Mac was ranked at 19 sa list ko. I wish I could have put him higher, but I think other players deserve it better because of maybe the number of championships they won. As Sammy mentioned, he lost one of the championships that he won, but I still think that Mac Cardona is top 25 in our generation because as you mentioned, he's one of the top scorers, one of the best scorers in UAAP history. He's part of the Lasal team who was coached by Franz Pumaren, who I think has an argument to be one of the best teams in UAAP history. And when you have your second leading scorer or even leading scorer in most of those seasons, I thought that si Mac deserved pretty high on my list, which was I ranked him at around 19.
I had Mac pretty high also on my list. I think I gave him a higher score than you, Maui. I just remember him as a bucket. This guy was a certified scorer. he was unstoppable with his hook shot, and then the nickname Captain Hook, I think, is still pretty popular today. And I think a lot of millennials and baby boomers, they all remember how unstoppable Mac Cardona was as a scorer. Yes, the 2005 non-championship, essentially a winless season because they defaulted every game. They forfeited.
Doesn't exist.
It doesn't exist. That dings him a bit, but he still won one in 2002. And I gave players who won a championship, whether they were the role player or one of the main rotation guys.
2001. 2001.
2001. So sorry. 2001 championship. So I gave him a high score for that individual performance. I gave him a pretty decent score also. Again, scoring champion, mythical 5 team member, and then we just remember him as an unstoppable beast. He was, and that hook shot was pretty wet. I would have to say most of the time, and he would launch hook shots from the free throw line to free throw line extended. That's how much he relied on the hook, which is crazy at that time. When no one did those shots that Mac Cardona did. Diba? The Captain Hook moniker really fit him. And he wasn't a bad defender also. And you gotta love that he was one of the, I guess, the one who started the Lasal Angas, because rookie pa lang siya, maangas pa ng maangas na tong si Mac Cardona. And I think to add to the legend, I think he was a walk-in. Diba? A walk-on in Lasal. He wasn't recruited. He just tried out for the seniors team and made the roster, made the rotation, and eventually became a star. So I had him pretty high on my list. I'm glad he still made the top 25, and I'm just shocked that he's this low, to be honest. And it's honestly Sam's fault, but he still made the top 25. Any more comments before we go to our next one?
Go ahead.
So next, I was pretty shocked at this. At number 24, we had Nico Salva. And again, he was pulled down actually by me. I did not have Nico Salva on my list of players. I love Nico Salva, obviously. He won 5 championships for Ateneo. I think one of only 3 to win. I think Justin Chua and Torino Gonzaga were the other 2 to win 5 championships in their all 5 playing years that they spent in the UAAP. But I cannot give it to Nico Salva because I don't think he was ever the best player on any of those championship teams, even the third one. You can make an argument that maybe he was the leading scorer, but I think that was more by a committee approach in the third championship. See, Ryan Buenafe was more of the main man in the clutch. We'll get to him maybe later or never. We'll see if he made the list. But I never had
What a
Nico
tease.
I can't say. We have to give the GOAT some love here. But yeah, Nico Salva, I did not have him. He was not a good defender. He was helped out a lot by having guys like Greg Slaughter, Kirk Long beside him, Ryan Buenafe, Nonoy
Baklaw.
at some point, si Raba Aloseni at some point. So he was never really the best player on any of the 5 Ateneo Championship teams. Yes, he was a surefire bucket from mid-range. That was his shot. He never shot threes. He had floaters. He had that unstoppable mid-range shot. He was not a good defender. He was not the primary playmaker for any of these 5 championship teams, so I never had him. I don't think he even made the mythical team ever. So yeah, he never made the mythical team, so I could not give it to him. He did not make my list. Maui, Sammy, you guys put Nico Salva pretty high.
I put him at 14. And I wanted to put him in the top 25, but because of our metrics, one of the things that we really measured was championship team performance. And how can you not give Nico Salva a 10 out of 10? Diba? I mean, only a handful of players have won 5 championships in their whole UAP career, as you mentioned, Gab. Some of them were his teammates. But I think what separates Nico Salva from those teammates is he was one of the top players for that team. He might not have been the best player for that team, as you mentioned, but he still got 2 finals MVP, which is an indication that he was the best player during the finals, if not the best, one of the best players or one of the most crucial players. And that alone, I think, is one of the main reasons why I believe Nico Salva has had probably one of the most underrated UAAP careers. I would have wanted to see him transition yung game niya, but that did not happen. Even in the PBA, I think he had a hard time transitioning to a guard slot. But this guy, as you mentioned, Gab, was unstoppable from mid-range. And without him, I don't think Ateneo would have won those 5 championships. I think he was the zone buster. He was the guy that really took advantage of the opportunity and averaging 13 points for arguably one of the top teams in the UAAP. Not just that season, in history.
Sam.
Yeah. Agree with what Maui said. I think he was in my top 20. 20 to 25 range, something like that. I wanted to include him on the list just because of the 5 championships. Maui mentioned the 2 finals MVPs, and I think that's tough to do with a loaded team like Ateneo during that 5-peat era or period. And yeah, I think you guys mentioned it. Yung mid-range niya, offensively, he was one of the main go-to guys of Ateneo all throughout those 5 years. Defensively, he was not known as a defensive player, but I think he had a huge impact dun sa 5-peat championship na yun. The other guys that you mentioned na kasama dun sa 5-peat, role players lang. So I think I wanted to reward Nico Salva for the impact that he did during that 5 championships.
It's pretty interesting. I think a lot of Lasalians will be angry at us because you had Nico Salva over Mac Cardona. Well,
Five
siguro,
rings, 5 rings, bro.
yeah, yun nga eh. Siguro, it depends on what you value. Nico Salva definitely has the edge in terms of championships. Mac Cardona won 1. 2 if you're a Lasalian and you don't think that 2005 championship should have been
Doesn't count.
forfeited. But officially, it doesn't count. It went to FEU. If you value individual performances, mythical team selection, scoring performances, individually as a player, definitely si Mac is the more skilled of the two. So it depends on what you value. Historical impact, I think Mac definitely has the edge there. He was a lot more popular. He was known as a superstar in the UAAP. Si Nico Salva, again, he was kind of overshadowed by his teammates. Kiefer Ravena, Greg Slaughter, Ryan Buenafe, Raba Aloseni, Noy Baclaw, Chris Chu. So a lot of those guys kind of took the mantle in terms of leadership and go-to guy role in those 5 championships. But yeah, it's pretty weird, siguro. Okay, next. We had number 23, the Raging Bull, Enrico Villanueva, legend of the 2002 UAAP champions of the Ateneo Blue Eagles, the UAAP championship, the one that ended the 13-year, was it the 13-year drought, Maui? Yeah, tama, the 13-year drought of Ateneo not winning a championship in the UAAP, and the Raging Bull makes it. And I think he was consistent, if I'm not
Golden
mistaken.
Age started the golden age of Ateneo.
Oh no, he did not make Sammy's list.
Nope.
Ito yung sinasabi ko sa'yo, Maui, when I saw Sammy's list, I'm like, what? He didn't include this guy? so,
Sino yan dyan, bro?
so, so Sammy had some wild picks. Siguro we'll get to it in our final episode, the snubs. But Sammy had some wild picks. But siguro to start off for Enrico, he won MVP in 2002, but you could make an argument that he should have won two more because
Yes.
if you don't know, he was suspended for his third and fourth seasons of the UAP. He was suspended one game each and was essentially disqualified from the MVP race. And it ended up going to his teammate Rich Alvarez, and back to back years,
Back to
Rich
back.
Alvarez, kind of won the MVP of a suspension by his own teammate Rico Villanueva. So that's the story there. But he was known as the most dominant center for a good, I would say, 3 seasons. Essentially, after Don Aliado left, it was Enrico Villanueva's time to shine in the UAAP. And if you weren't familiar back then, centers were all the rage. Even if you were a 6'5" center, Enrico Villanueva was only 6'5", but he was a hulking big guy. He dominated the paint. Again, he poured in the numbers, rebounds, assists, points, blocks, field goal percentage. Everything was there. And you could make the case that he should have been a 3-time MVP. And you love the story. Yeah, you could have made the case, the only 3-time MVP to ever win it, if he did not get suspended twice. So I rank him pretty highly. Again, one championship, one MVP, one mythical 5-team selection. But I think he should have had more. And if you watched Enrico Villanueva yung back in the day, yes, you were scared of his free throws, but you were also impressed by how dominant he was.
Yeah, ako.
Yeah,
Go ahead,
siguro
Chad.
just to explain, si Villanueva, just like Cardona was originally on my list, he is there in the top 25. I wouldn't argue with you on that. I just dinged him on, I didn't count the technical MVPs because he was disqualified. Then he was disqualified. Also, so Gab mentioned, you mentioned some of the wild picks. Okay, originally, when I made the list, halos lahat Ateneo and Lasal. So, what I sort of did, nagbawas
It
akong
can't be
Ateneo
helped,
and
Sammy.
Lasal.
Those two are
I
the
know.
most successful programs.
I know, I understand. But I wanted to also recognize other people, other players from other teams. So, I tried to cut down as much Ateneo and Lasal as I could, just to recognize some other people. So Enrico was one of the people that I cut because I think I picked other big men from Ateneo over him. But I get it. During his time, probably the most, not probably, he was the most dominant center. Parang just taking a step back, looking at like all the centers of Ateneo, I sort of ranked the other guys higher if I were to like rank the bigs of Ateneo. So that's why I cut him.
Yeah, ako Sam, I did the complete opposite. I ranked Enrico Villanueva as my second best pick from Ateneo from the 2025s, if I'm looking it correctly. But I ranked him pretty high. Number 11 out of 25 sa list ko because take away the MVPs.
Out of 30, Maui. Out of 30.
Out of 30. Take
Yun
away
yung interesting like sobrang magkalayo yung picks. I love it.
Yeah. I think that si Enrico Villanueva actually deserves, I could probably even say top 10 because where can remove the MVPs? Even if you remove the MVPs, who was the most dominant player during those two years? even if he didn't get the awards. I thought that getting that MVP award, getting that first championship of Ateneo was really momentum changing for the program. I thought that that was how impactful Enrico Villanueva was. And he was the best player on that team. And you could argue he is even the best player sa 2002 championship across the league. Just why he won the MVP. Maybe 2000 and 2001, may argument pa si Renan Walo as the most dominant player. But yeah, I ranked him pretty high. Maybe I have bias. He's one of my first idols. Alongside Rich Alvarez. And I thought that si Nico Villanueva deserves a high ranking as a raging bull. I thought that that's one of the best nicknames because if he wasn't hot-headed, I would think that he would have easily been top 5 or even top 10 on our list. 3 MVPs could have been the only player in UAAP history in the 2000s to win 3 straight MVPs. Not even players like KQ, not even players like Bobby Ray Parks was able to do that.
You just reminded me, Maui. You said Enrico was your favorite player, well, one of your favorite players. He was one of mine also. It makes me regret na hindi ko nasuot ang jersey niya because I still have that Enrico Villanueva jersey. Kung hindi lang nag-cramp si Sam Santos, sana na plano ko.
Number 14.
Suot yung jersey na yun. But yeah, I totally agree. Most dominant player of the early 2000s. At least when we started this ranking, season 63, 64, 65, he was the most dominant center and maybe player of that era. Okay, let's move on. I can't believe that he's higher than Enrico Villanueva, but at number 22, we have si Maui sumasakit ang ulo eh. We have Ken Bono of the Adamson Soaring Falcons, our first non-Lasallian, non-Atenean in these top 25 rankings. We have Ken Bono. Maui, you're shaking your head. This is stress ka ata. Go ahead. I think all three of us ranked him. So,
Oh my God. Oh my God.
Sige,
If
go
Rico
ahead.
Villanueva sees this video, he'll probably hunt us down and punch all 3 of us.
That's true.
Rico, if you see the
He-
video, number 11
He
on my
ate
list.
up Ken Bono.
Oh my God, Ken Bono. Yeah, si Ken Bono was, I think I mentioned this to you guys. I wanted to put everyone that won an MVP award sa top 30 ko, and si Ken Bono was actually my 30th guy. I'm checking the rankings right now and he scored the lowest. I think only the MVP award and maybe getting Adamson to the playoffs made me pick him as part of the top 30 list. But oh my God, Ken Bono over Rico Villanueva, that's crazy. That's our list will be invalidated because of that. That's
Yeah,
crazy.
yeah. Feel ko dapat nag-curve tayo or something. Like, I think it's with the grading then. But anyway, yeah, this is funny. But yeah, I also had him at I think I had him at 28. We were supposed to pick up to 30, diba? So linagay ko lang siya sa 28. The only Adamson guy I picked, as I mentioned, I wanted to pick someone from each team. Ken Bono was like the best one. You mentioned the MVP, yeah.
Sam, the reason why he was higher than Enrico Villanueva is because our 22 to 25 essentially they were absent from at least one of our lists. Ken Bono consistently on our list. No, he scored low on mine too. He scored low on all three of us. Team performance, it was mid. I mean, he made one Final Four. Although to be fair, it was the first time Adamson made the Final Four in the Final Four era when he was the MVP. And I think we did this a few years back when we were looking back at I think our Adamson draft or something like that, and we were talking about how Ken Bono was an unstoppable force. That this guy was shooting threes when no center was shooting threes. He
Modern
was put.
basketball.
Well, he was a modern basketball player in the mid 2000s. That's how crazy good Ken Bono was. He was putting up numbers in his final season with Adamson. He was unstoppable. Well, he was really really big. I rewatched the game with of the final four of Adamson versus Ateneo in 2007, I think. No, 2006, and he was manhandling Doug Kramer. Doug Kramer could not do anything with Ken Bono. He was just that strong and that impactful, and there's a reason why he made all three of our lists. Now he may have been dinged by team performance and historical impact because really there wasn't much of team success there. We still cannot believe it, but we have to give him his flowers. He was probably the most dominant guy for a good 1 to 2 seasons, especially when Leo's Austria finally took over Adamson and unleashed Ken Bono. There's a reason why Ken Bono, I think, stuck with Leo Austria for how many years at San Miguel. If you remember that, towards the twilight of his pro career, Ken Bono was still playing as I think Junmar's second backup or something
He's
like
still
that.
playing now, pero hindi na sa PBA. I think
Yeah, he's still playing now,
MBBL or
and
something.
his post moves are still incredible. He's an
Kalaro nila
incredible
James
post
Yap,
player.
nila Chris
Yeah,
Yu, di ba, doon sa Chinese League. Nangangain doon.
yeah, because his game again, it doesn't rely a lot on athleticism. It just relies a lot on footwork and his big ass
Soft touch.
body. Yeah, and he has a really soft touch. Ang ganda ng shooting touch niya from all three levels. He can hit the mid-range, he can hit threes, and he can definitely dominate inside. Yeah, might be a shocker that he's ahead of the Raging Bull and Rico Villanueva, but Ken Bono, he's there. No, yung number 22.
I think you just look at this at like as a range. It's not like exactly like 25, 24, 23, 22, but more of like a range. 20s to 25s. These are the people here. That's how parang I would like look at it.
Right, at number 21, Mr. Paul
Paul.
Lee of the UE Red Warriors. And I think he made all three of our lists. Any reactions? I think he's pretty bolstered by his final 2 seasons in the UAAP because that's when he really exploded. When he led UE to the finals, the last time they ever made the Final Four, UN the finals was with Paul Lee. First 3 seasons, I think he was more of a bench guy, 6 man behind Marcy Arellano and James Martinez. But Paulie, one of the most prolific scorers, and there's a reason why he has such a long PBA career / pro career because he can shoot the lights out and he's a one hell of a scorer. Did not win MVP, but he won a most improved player. I forgot the UAAP named most improved players in the late 2000s. Maui, Sam.
Yeah, si Paul Lee made my list as number 24, as you mentioned, Gab. I think the fact that he was one of the last players to get you into the final, not just the final four but the finals, I think is iconic. And I think a lot of people will remember Paul Lee being one of the best players in the UAAP. Medyo bata pa si Paul Lee compared to the others on this list, but he was iconic. And I thought that yung San Sebastian group with Ryan Buenafe si Paul Lee was really one of the biggest surprise because if I remember correctly, he wasn't even one of the stars of that team, and yet nung UAAP career na, he became one of the best and most consistent player out of all of them. I think si Paulie deserves to be part of the top 25, but I just have to say again, Rico Villanueva should be above Paulie.
Kasalanan ni Sammy yun. Sammy.
Yeah, Paulie picked him as one of my, I think, 2 UE players in the top 25. Yeah, I think I just dinged him because he didn't win a championship. So, and wala naman din siyang MVP. So, He was, I think, at the bottom of my list, if I'm not mistaken. But still deserves to make it. Yeah, you can make an argument for him.
At number, what are we? Number 20 to 20.
20?
We have the King Tamarao of his age, Mac Belo. And I think he also made all three of our lists. Scored pretty highly on mine, I have to say. And again, I would say it. I've said this before. He is Arwin Santos reincarnated, and he hurt a lot of Athenians and Lasalians with his clutch shots. Maui, you remember this? Lasalians, I'm sure you remember his corner three to seal the championship for FEU Tamarao. To seal the, I think, to make it to the finals for the FEU Tamarao. So Macbelo really came on later in his UAAP career, and I gave him a high score. He won a title. He was the best player in multiple uh, versions of that FEU team, even with a very talented roster with the likes of R. Pogoy, Mike Tolomia, Prince Orizu, sino ba nandun? I keep on forgetting. That was a very talented roster. Sila Russell Escoto and some other players, but he was the best. And I always disliked watching him because he was so good. Sammy, Maui.
Sakto yung Ateneo and Lasal shoutout because sa notes ko nakasulat Ateneo Lasal Killer, Mac Belo. He won a championship, so I think he deserves to make it. Maui.
Nakamute ka, Maui.
Mac Belo was actually 17 on my list, and I think he deserves consideration to be part of the top 25. Maganda yung part niya sa ranking natin. I think we all three probably had them at this range. And the moniker, the Lasal and Ateneo Killer. Diba, these are the two most storied franchises in the 2000s, and Mac Belo is probably one of the few guys who can say that I am that guy who gave Lasal and Ateneo the business. And I think him being a two-way player is one of the main reasons why I ranked him this high on my list, 17. And getting to the finals in 2 seasons, getting a championship alongside that, getting to the finals. And I think Mac Belo is one of the most underrated. He would have been a good PBA player and could have been part of Gilas, maybe not for. And he was part of Gilas early on. Maybe if
Yes.
he didn't get hurt so much nung collegiate career na, his career would have panned out. I would say he's just that good on both ends of the floor.
So para
Yeah,
sa
yung
akin,
versatility niya, I think two-way player, three-point shooting, good size for a UAAP player. That's what made him dominant then.
para sa akin, when I made my list and I looked at the championship teams, if you were the best player on that championship team, you were essentially making my list. Which is why I had guys like Rico Villanueva and I have a guy like Mac Belo here on my list because he was the best player on that FEU championship team. Yeah, he may have been surrounded by an incredible amount of talent, but he was their best player. And you know you're a legend. Talking about historical impact, you know you're a legend when you are getting comps even years later. You know what? People were comparing guys like BJ Pre to Mac Belo, Kirby Moncopa to Mac Belo. If you are getting comps even until today, you are a legend, and I think a lot of FEU fans still remember Mac Belo. A lot of UAP fans still remember Mac Belo. Next on our list, two-time MVP, Bobby Ray Parks. I think we're all consistent. He scored highly on individual performance and was pretty mid/low in team performance. I think we all know why. The team won a championship when he was gone. So I think that says it all. But individually, he was a great player, a great scorer. He was unstoppable. He put up numbers, 20 plus points per game, which is kind of unheard of actually in the UAAP to score 20 points per game. It's very rare. He was very highly recruited. It was a shock. I do remember this. It was a shock that he went to NU. There were all sorts of rumors of what NU gave him for him to commit to NU. But when he went to NU, that put NU on the map. It was actually the start of NU's, I would say, revival. Remember, NU
Mm-hmm.
was
Mm-hmm.
in the bottom of the standings for so many years. But Bobby Ray Parks choosing NU kind of put NU on the map and actually started the amount of good seasons that NU had. And again, it coincided with the C family buying NU, and their first big splash was getting Bobby Ray Parks. And you can't argue with the results. At times, they made the Final Four. They were the top seed in the following season, but they were upset by the UST Growling Tigers in the Final Four by Pidorencio. So team success was definitely there. It just didn't lead to a championship until he was gone, which I think hurts him. Maui, Sami.
Yeah, ako actually, if Bobby Ray Parks won a championship in his UAP career, uh, he's probably gonna be instantly top 10. But where can you find the player who's he wasn't rookie of the year because there was a silly UAP rule that you have to sit out a season before you can play if you played for a foreign high school, which I think it's crazy. But yeah, winning the MVP on his first season, winning the MVP on his second season, I think probably would have won that third MVP. I think si Kiefer Ravena won that, if I'm not mistaken. I'm not sure. But he was that dominant. And I think if you were an NU fan, if you're from NU, you would say sulit. Sulit ang ginastos ng NU because, as you mentioned, Gab, they put him right on the map. He put NU as a team to go to, as a program you can consider. And I think that's his main impact. But I guess very consistent with my ranking. I ranked him at this range because we cannot rank a player maybe part of the top 10 if he didn't win a championship in his UAP career. And I think that's the single knock maybe on Bobby Ray's short UAP career. Diba? Which from the top 25 can say that they got into the NBA D League after their UAP career? Only Bobby Ray.
And to his credit, out of all the players we've named so far, he has the shortest UAAP stint. He played only 2 seasons. Diba? He played only 2 seasons, won 2 MVPs, and he still made the top 25 on all three of our lists. So that just goes to show the amount of talent and the greatness that he showed in his 2 years in the UAAP. Sammy.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's a good point kasi he might be the only one that I picked that only played 2 seasons, or maybe there's another one, I think. But essentially, like, I dinged a
Tatlo.
ton of, like,
Tatlo si
I
Bobby
dinged
Ray.
ay
I just
tatlo,
checked.
ayun. I dinged a lot of players who did not play more than 2 seasons, because it's hard. It's hard to I guess set up yourself, or your it's hard to compare them to people that played for 4 seasons, 5 seasons, especially the players na early on talagang they reach 5 seasons, 'di ba? But yeah, Bobby Ray was scary actually when people heard na he was going to NU. Natakot na yung mga Atenista. I remember may rumors before he went to NU na he was going to Ateneo. So parang ano ba yun? Inaanak daw siya ni Coach Norman Black. So he's going to Ateneo, and then he went. So excited mga tao, ganyan. And then yeah, he ended up in NU, and you guys were right. I think I dinged him for not making it to the championship, or the not getting a championship. So he was low on team performance, but the other two factors, individual performance, he was very high. Impact, he was also very high, just because of what you mentioned, Gam. He put NU on the map. And that's why I put like a really high score on impact for him.
All right. Next. Oh, Big game, James Yap at number 18. Won an MVP. I think 3 Mythical 5 team selections. Never made the finals, which I think dinged him a lot. But the fact that he's number 18, I think he scored very highly on all three of us on individual performance and historical impact, because I think we all remember Big Game James, and he he was known as a shooter, but if you look at his shooting percentage, it wasn't really that high. Maybe it was high for that era of the UAAP, but he was a scoring machine. He was one. He was the guy that you box and one. Diba? You face UE, you focus your defense on James, yeah, because he would kill you with his outside shooting, with his quick stroke. I think one of the quickest strokes I've ever witnessed, and he scored a ton. He was a legend at UE, gave UE a lot of success. Did not lead to finals appearances, sadly, but multiple Final Fours, multiple individual awards. I think he was a Rexona something player, so you can count that to his trophy case.
Shout out
So,
Restona.
Napunan yung James Yap niya sa dami na awards niya.
yeah, but he had more success yung at the pro level, but definitely as one of the UE greats, one of the UE, I would say, goats, if you will. After mga sila kay Dick and Jaworski, you would definitely have him there. James Yap, Sammy, Maui.
Only two players from UE made my list, and si James Yap is the second one
Same.
over Paul Lee at rank 22. I think si Gab hit it right on the nail. If James Yap was able to win a couple of championships or maybe even one, he'd probably be top 15. That was how feared he was. I think there are some players that you cannot really check yung percentages to show how lethal they were from outside. I think maybe two players from my top 25 are lethal shooters na talagang when they shoot, I would close my eyes nung bata ko and hope that this shot wouldn't make it. And si James Yap is one of them. And I think Ateneo really ruined his chances of becoming a top 15 or even top 10 UAAP player from the 2000s with that Jack Chia shot in 2002. But that was how good James Yap was. I think, which is why it translated pretty well when he got a good team in the pros. There's a reason why they call him a man with a million moves. This guy is just an offensive juggernaut, and maybe if UE was more loaded with firepower, they could have been a better team. But nevertheless, they were the top two seed in a very the early 2000s of the UAAP is crazy. Super, it was ultra competitive, more competitive than than it is right now. And I thought that winning a championship there is different from winning now. And James Yap getting that 2 seed for UE in his last season and the MVP award speaks volumes of how great this player was.
Yeah, I agree with the individual achievements. I think this is where more or less I ranked him on my list. I gave him really, really high extra points for the impact. I remember my interview, I don't know, si Tubid ba yun or si Artadi, they were being interviewed na when James Yap came to UE. Before James Yap came to UE, wala silang sponsors. Tapos kung ano-ano lang daw, wala silang food or walang pakain, kung ano-ano lang daw kinakain nila. And then when James Yap started playing for UE, Nike started calling. All the sponsors wanted to sponsor the UE Red Warriors. I just check it out on YouTube. Napanood ko yun. So I still remember that. So because of that, I gave him really high on impact. Kasi that's the problem of UE now, actually. Like if they could have like a marketable guy, like a James Yap level player, maybe they can get more help, get more sponsors. Except wala eh. Laging umaalis yung mga nila, marketable guys like Ray Remoga. Welo Lingo we haven't talked about, but that's
Sana,
maybe for
sana.
another episode.
It's nice that you mentioned that, Sammy, because he was one of the more marketable guys in the UAP. He was, well, extremely good looking. Chris Aquino fell for him, so he was extremely good looking. He had a lot of highlights. I mean, it was one thing to have to be a shooter, but the way he shot it. Remember, he would shoot like a fadeaway jump
Yeah,
shot.
yeah, yeah.
Diba? Ganun siya yung tumira. It wasn't as a textbook shot where you go straight up. He would do like a fadeaway, even if it was just a spot up. He would do a fadeaway. He would kick his leg out. Reggie Miller. He loved to do the one-handed beat-in, diba? He would like to do that, and
Oo
fans
nga,
loved
oo
him,
nga.
diba?
Yeah.
So fans loved him for that. He was a highlight machine, and he he wasn't a dirty player. He was a baby face of that time in the UAP. His teammates might have been done the dirty work for him. Guys like Tubid, Artadi, Arnold Booker, if you remember him. So he had a lot of enforcers around him. So he didn't need to do all that extracurricular activity. So he was the perfect baby face for that period of the UAP. All right, next.
Sorry, I just have to say, si James Yap could have gone, I think, to Lasal. I think I
Yeah,
saw
I
this
think
in a
yeah.
clip.
Initially, yeah.
Initially, he
Are
was
we all
going to
reading the
Lasal.
Wikipedia page?
No. I just remembered it. I think in
Okay,
interview,
okay.
si Artadi is very active in social media. I think he was overwhelmed because he's from the province. Lucky for
By
UE.
by by the way, James Yap not related to Maui Yap. Just saying, Maui Yap is a lot better. Hindi, joke
Mas
lang.
pogi si Maui, ha?
Oo
Mas pogi
naman,
si
oo
Maui,
naman.
ha? Oo naman. Alright, at number 17, we have Terrence Romeo. One-time MVP. I think two-time mythical team selection. Scoring champion for 2 seasons, if I'm not mistaken. Uh, he's a guy I went back and forth, to be honest, on my list. He was the last guy on my list. I had him on and off, because I have to say, I don't like Terrence Romeo. I don't like his game. I think he made FEU worse, because I think his teammate is a far better player than him. See, R. Garcia. He was
Garcia.
the again, Terence Romeo is the better scorer than R. Garcia. He had the highlights. People loved him for that. You know, his hair, his look, the way he played one on one, his handles. He had the package. People loved watching him, but I think he made FEU a worse team, which is why I still put him on my list. I ranked him pretty low. I still had him on my list because I cannot deny the numbers he put up, and he won awards, and he made Final Fours. But I don't know. I have a very different opinion on Terence Romeo. I'm not sure if you guys agree. Maui, Sami.
No, I think that's a good point. Team-wise, siguro not the best impact si Terence Romeo. But just since we talked about James Yap, another parang marketable guy for FE or for the UAP. He was exciting. And we love to watch exciting players. So even in the PBA, 'di ba? People he has a ton of fans even until now kahit na he's not playing in the PBA now just because of the way he handles the ball and he makes very flashy plays. So a lot of people love him because he's very exciting. He can score a ton. He used to score a ton back in the UAP. So I think that's why you have to consider him. Impact, I also ranked him very high just because of that. Because he was a very exciting player versus, let's say, an R. Garcia na maybe more quiet guy but better for the team. And I also have to mention yung controversies that you had with Terence Romeo. That was a part of it. The spit gate or laway gate, whatever you wanna call it. With Jeron Teng? Was it Jeron Teng or something like that? That was all part of the entertainment value of Terence Romeo. That's why I ranked him really high sa impact for not just FU but for the UAAP as a whole. But I do agree with you, Gab. I think he was I think it was in the 20 to 25 range for me.
Yeah, out of all the three of us, I scored him the lowest. So that's that reflects my opinion on Terrence Romeo. Again, highlight machine, put up numbers, fan favorite, or one of the most hated players depending on where you're from. But again, highlight machine. And up to now, FIBA is still putting out Terrence Romeo highlight mixtapes
That's true.
with his
Lumalabas
time
sa
in
feed eh,
Gilas.
no?
No, but it
Oo.
always comes up because he was a highlight machine. They love he. There was no one better. Maybe only a few people were better than him playing one on one. He was an isolation scorer, and he was one of the best at it. Maui.
Ako, actually, I ranked him pretty high. And I think if I had regrets on my list, I think si Terence Romeo is the one that I regret putting this high because I'm shocked right now that he's number 12 actually on my list. And I think he should be ranked a lot lower, but I think still top of the top 25. He's the guy that redefined scoring, I think, in the 2025s. If Cardona, James Yap were super scorers, si Terence Romeo was a super saiyan mode. I think averaging 22 even in a game in the UAAP is pretty crazy because if you look at the top 25 list, only a handful of players would probably even breach 15 to 20 a game. And I think si Terence Romeo was that good. But honestly, I would probably rank him lower in my list because I ranked him at 12. But I think our ranking is pretty good for him at this point, near the top 20, in the lower range till 25.
Right. Next.
Last one.
La- Last one.
Number 16.
Number 16. We have Teniente. L.A. Tenorio at number 16. Only won one championship, won Rookie of the Year, did it with MVP, a couple of mythical team selections. Fan favorite. I think if there's one category where he scored the highest on at least for me, it was historical impact. Because people love to root for this guy because he was the little guy. Diba? Siguro the first small superstar in the UAAP, at least in the millennium, in the early 2000s. He was small, but he was crazy good. Um, could shoot the three pretty well, could run an offense, had a ton of crazy layup. His layup package was one of the best. He had he had this sneaky reverse layup from the right side, you going to the left side and just avoiding the shot blockers nearly every time. And you talk about clutch, he was clutch. He had made a lot of clutch plays. I do remember he went toe to toe with Arwin Santos in one of the finals, or in the final four in one of those years. He was a superstar for Ateneo. It helped him that he became the face of Ginebra for a certain point in time. So a lot of Filipino basketball fans love LA Tenorio, and he's very beloved in the UAAP. Switching was not a thing back then. So it was hindi uso yung mag-take advantage ng small on big. So you do not switch back then in the early 2000s. So I think he was helped by that because he was slight, he was small. So again, if he
Mhm.
played in today's UAAP, I think he would find himself with a lot of mismatches and people would just try to pick on him. But again, in the early 2000s, you did not switch. It benefited him a lot. He was able to stay on the court. He was able to he was infamous for some incidents. Again, punching Jerwin Gako. I think a lot of us remember that. But overall, his individual success, he won one championship. Uh, made made the finals in 2003 again with Ateneo and made two more Final Fours, although it did not lead to a finals appearance or a championship. Maui, Sammy.
Actually, ako surprised ako that si Eddie Tenorio is ranked 30 on my list. And I think it's maybe because I wanted, much like Sammy, I wanted to give others chance. But to be honest, the ranking of Romeo could probably, si Tenorio has an argument that he could be higher, really, much like our list. Because he was more celebrated. He was still a mythical team member. He went to the finals 3 out of the 5 years. I think you could have an argument that they could have made the finals if Larry Funasher did not tear his ACL. They were
Mm-hmm.
6-1
Yep.
during that season. So I think si Eddie Tenor is a well-loved player outside of that punching incident. I think a lot of people even don't remember that he punched Sherwin Gako. But I think this guy is pretty underrated. Maybe an MVP award or another championship could have really catapulted him to the top of my list. But I think one of the reasons why I penalized maybe him was because he wasn't the best player in 2002 when they won the championship. He was a surprise player in 2001 when he scored 30 points in the finals as a rookie. But he wasn't that consistent yet when they were really performing. And maybe other guys were more decorated in terms of like accolades when it came to their UAAP career. But Eric Tenorio is underrated without a doubt. This is him, one of the top point guards in UAAP history. I mean, I think a lot of the top point guards in the late 2020s would say that Eli Tenorio is their favorite point guard. Just as players like Nieto, players like Belangel, I would bet that they would say Eli Tenorio was their favorite point guard going as an Atenean.
Yeah, I think Maui na mention mo na, no? He only won one championship, but he actually made it to three finals appearances. I very clear pa rin, naalala ko pa rin yung 30-point game niya nung rookie siya sa finals. That was really crazy for me. I ranked him very high actually. Si LA, I think it's my number 12 or something like that. Just because I do remember na he was really one of the people that got me into the UAAP nung nabalitaan na LA Tenorio is joining this Ateneo team. Siya daw yung missing piece, the point guard of the future, and he lived up to that. Yung point guard of the future missing piece ng Ateneo definitely helped Enrico Villanueva and the other Ateneo high school guys win that championship in 2002. So I've always ranked him really high. Gab, I think maganda yung sinabi mo, impact-wise, iba din yung impact ni LA because he was like one of the smallest guys on the court who had like this huge impact. And I do remember, bago pa yung Moro noon, I would go to Moro to watch them play. LA Tenorio walked past me. Tapos sabi ko, yan na yun. He's smaller than me. Mas maliit siya sa akin.
Diba?
Bakit siya ganun
Ang liit
kagaling?
niya.
And just because of that, maybe yun din yung bias ko with LA and why actually that was one of the ina-argue ko din who I would like bring down, like sina Enrico Villanueva, whatever. But I ranked LA really high just because of like yung impact, yung being that small and making such a huge impact no sa Ateneo and helping bring back Ateneo to its glory days. But just looking back at this list, siguro si Cardona at si Villanueva yung dalawang regrets ko na kinat ko. But I had to cut an Atenean and Lasalista. But I do regret cutting them.
All right. That's it for number 16 to 25 of our top 25. Or 25 for 25 for the past 25 years of the UAAP. Past 25 seasons of the UAAP because we didn't have a season 83. Just so everyone's clear why we went back to season 83 because to season 63 because we didn't have a season 83. All right? We had snubs, but we'll talk about that siguro in our final episode.
Mm-hmm.
So that we don't spoil who made it and who didn't make it. But the snubs are crazy. I have the list right here, and the snubs are crazy. So let that be a cliffhanger for everyone. So Sammy, sign us off. I love doing this. watch out for the next one.
Yeah, that's it for today's episode. Stay tuned for the next one. If you haven't yet, please like this video, comment your thoughts, share with your friends, subscribe, and don't forget, follow us on Instagram. We'll see you again next time. Bye bye.